Good morning, guys. I know it was a long week last week with no console league, but fear not, we are back and ready for more. Week 6 is going to start. My name is Gormizer, and to kick this off, I'm on the desk with pretty hair, and we get to go in and, jump literally straight back into it. We get Flashpoint versus Ehrenmanner, which I think is going to be a very big one, because this is actually going to be the first glimpse of Flashpoint we get to see since they picked up Skeppy.
I know. I'm very excited for that very veteran player who... He almost like Bugsy this season, I feel like. Came in, didn't do very, kind of big player in this scene, and when you don't hit the ground running, it's kind of like, what's going on there?
Yeah.
This is a guy that's been to every single LAN, has won some of those, has MVP'd some of those. So you're kind of like, well, what's going on? And then, he announced he was stepping down for a little while, didn't know really if he was going to come back or what. And then he gets picked up by an EU team. That's kind of, I guess, playing with ping is not that big a deal. Swiper, the one, kind of did it for a little bit before getting banned from the league entirely. Hopefully Skeppy doesn't mean that same fate. It
was really interesting to see them kind of take that change, because I think we talked about this one point on Esports Weekly, where it's just, this is very much a LAN-oriented kind of change in my mind, where it's just Prosper, Skeppy are probably some of the best players, if not the best players that you're going to get in terms of DPS, so it's very worthwhile being able to pick them up. Of course, you can see Flashpoint already on top. If they needed to get better, I don't think any of the other teams really wanted them to, because now picking up Skeppy is probably just going to escalate it even further. If you're wondering who he is going to replace as of right now, it is Good Lad, who you'll actually see today, but I think a little bit later. And somewhere you might not think. You have an NA player playing an EU, and now I think an EU player playing an NA for PS4 for, I think, heating up.
Ah, wow, a lot of changes happening here. And
musical chairs in the console league.
I think this is a good point to give a big thanks to Blue, who does just so much work for us. He takes a lot of weight off of our shoulders. When all of this stuff happens over the weekend, when nobody's here working in Skillshot, Blue is on top of it all. He gets us all a DM in the morning before the league comes out, before we have to kind of do all this, so we can make sure that we go into this kind of knowing who's where and what's what before we get into the day, because there's more console teams than any other league that we have to cover, right? So when these guys are making all these changes, throughout the league and throughout the split, it's very critical that we kind of stay on top of it, and Blue is instrumental in that process. So big shout out to the boy Blue.
Yeah, he does a lot and kind of keeps things up. That's where I look at this. But now we can look at the schedule, things, and how they have been going. The way today is obviously Flashpoint, Ehrenmanner are the one we are watching. Aerial Arise, people might remember them as iTech, are going to be playing up against Stush.
I like that logo.
It is a very nice logo.
The
fighter jet being able to come through. Of course, later in the day, we're going to have Radiant and Bust Down, Heating Up and Onslaught, and Cats on Mars versus E-Storm. Elevate Retaliation offline. That one's probably going to be a big one, because Elevate, I think, right now are the only team that has not dropped a single map throughout the entire league.
I think we just saw the standings there for Flashpoint. They've dropped one, I believe. They're
I think
plus
so.
17. I think that was actually to that may have been to iTech.
It was to Stush.
Was it to Stush?
On Splitstone Quarry, yeah. It was a very weird map to lose, but it's apparently it's Stush's best map, and it's the only one they ever choose.
Their bread and butter. Well, you got to lead with your best foot forward here in a set against a team like Flashpoint.
Yeah.
Very excited for this one.
And one of the players on Flashpoint, we talked about Skeppy, we talked about Prosper Logic, two of them huge DPS players, but the one that's kind of creating the room for them, and again, a guy we've kind of highlighted a lot before, is Legacy, being able to come through and play the frontline role, going from sub to full roster and fitting in perfectly.
Well, frontlines have been so. And look at this, Mako on Stonekeep. Can you get any more legacy than this? Love it there. And frontline has been so important this season. It's really been not necessarily all the time for console, but has been on PC like an incredibly important role to build this aggro tank, this space maker. And when you have a guy like this who feels so good about playing so many of these characters and can kind of, almost do it all himself right there, especially when you give him a character like Mako, I love to see the way that these frontline players can play so fearlessly on like the Khan, the Makoa, and the Ash, the way they can just take over the game and get the kills themselves. Then when you back that up with incredible DPS players like Skep and like Prosper, it's the whole package, baby.
It's definitely going to be a very deadly team to have to try and beat. Flashpoint, already deadly in their own right, now being potentially even more deadlier, especially with the fact that Legacy has, I want to say, kind of stepped it up from when we first saw him, and it kind of felt like, okay, you're a good frontline, you're an excellent Makoa, but like, where's everything else? Like the Ashe highlights we just saw, and like the fact that he can flex around a little bit more on that frontline role has kind of changed the game for Flashpoint and elevated them to another level.
I think when you look at the way that this team's looking to play today, they're so far ahead that it's okay that they make a pretty ballsy roster change like this. Skeppy's an incredible player. I don't know, though, if he's going to be looking or asked to play the same champions that he's always played, if they're going to stick him somewhere different, if they're going to have to struggle with him playing on ping, things like that. If this was, like you said, truly a LAN change, then it doesn't matter if they don't do as well, if they're not as dominant online. Because as long as they get here, they know Skeppy's from NA. He's not going to probably have any issues traveling. He's been to everything else flawlessly, and he has performed in the past. So I don't think it's the worst idea for Flashpoint to just say, we're good, man. Like, we are so far ahead of this pack. We could lose almost every map from now until LAN and still make the cut.
And it's going to be dangerous to maybe take that bet, but they're not going to go for it. Of course, they're going up against Ehrenmanner here, and Ehrenmanner are one of the few teams who I think coming into this, between them and iTech, again, I think the two teams there, I guess Aerial Arise now, sorry, would be neck and neck if it weren't for Flashpoint. And I think that's something that's really worth mentioning. This is a very good team, although this week not going to be the exact same roster that you saw before. Riser is being picked up. Just a long-time player who's been in the scene, finally kind of getting a shot in the PCL here. But they still have Beanie, they still have VCon1, they still have Klax, and of course they still have Ernest, who has been doing phenomenally throughout the league.
Yeah, this is definitely a squad, and this is a bit unique to this region if you look at it. The 2 and the 3 are very close. They're separated by less than 10 maps, I believe. And that's why I said, again, it's almost riskless for Flashpoint to do what they did, because they're ahead, 17 maps to whatever was 3, I think iTech had, and then -5 for Ehrenmanner. It's crazy, though, that they can come in and make a late-game roster adjustment like this, because they're still in the running for second place. If you 3-0 a team, that's a 6-map swing. They're only 8 maps in total behind, so their destiny is still definitely in their hands.
Well, this is definitely one of those changes that when it happens, it kind of is almost forced on you. I think is player decisions coming in behind them, but of course it's going to be up to them to try and break it down. And surprise, surprise, Flashpoint, they ban Frog Isle, they go to Stone Keep, who literally you can ask anyone. I think every single set has probably been this exact way for them every time.
And to be fair, I think Aerial Arise now. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Aerial Arise. So like that map that I was thinking that Flashpoint lost was still on Stone Keep, and it must have been just a 4-3 or something like that. So they're not invincible here, and they are kind of making a big roster change. So definitely fingers crossed to see what Skeppy's going to be playing and how they elect to use them. I think when you look at the Premier League and the way that those front runners are being defined right now, it's by playing so many different things and not really being stagnant. And that's not something that we've necessarily seen to ring true in the console or the minor league. So I think that's not uncommon, right? It has to be almost like a trickle-down thing. Everybody kind of watches the PPL and sees what's going on there. How can we kind of, emulate that in a way? So if that starts to trickle down here and we do start to see some variation in the console league, I'm very curious as to what that might be and where these guys are going to look to head.
I think my favorite thing about all the leagues, as of right now, especially the Premier League, but when it comes down to it, is the flexibility. And I think with NIP specifically, it's very obvious that they don't really care what they get as long as they are going to be comfortable. They have that amount of flexibility across all 5 of their players. Flashpoint, I feel like, is in a pretty similar spot right here. They ban out the Genos, they ban out the Vivian, they go Torvald on the other side, and they grab Talus first. So you kind of glance over the Victor, which I feel like has been a favorite for Prosper. Yeah. And you grab the Talus, which I would say in my mind is a favorite for Skeppy.
Absolutely, you would say that. And you would be correct. That's definitely, I think, where he'll slot in here. We haven't seen the rest of the draft, so you never really know until you get all the way through. But Talus has definitely been a power pick and something that's banned out very, very frequently. And now it feels like Genos is almost taking his slot. Like, these would be a very standard 4 console bans, barring that Genos. But that's the kind of the key here that we need to kind of look at. And this looks, you're right, there comes the Victor. It's feeling like Flashpoint is starting to really get the ball rolling and get what they want.
And then they have the Grover, which I'm going to go ahead and say, if you were watching any of the competitive play last week, I doubt this one's Ferocity. I think that's something that I wouldn't have to say out loud, but because it's now happened, I feel like it has to be explicitly said. But Tyra on the other side, Khan, Barrick, Maldamba, they're going to have the hunting party. They're going to have a little bit of the damage boost. Do you think that's going to help offset the fact that you have probably 2 of the biggest hit scan champions on Flashpoint?
I mean, Tyra, Khan are 2 very big and large and in charge hit scan champions for console as well. They're going to be very important. Playing around hunting party is just tough, though. I think that takes more communication. Right now, they don't have a very mobile lineup. They don't have any flank. Like, if they had a Talus to dive something that got marked up, that's where I'd feel a little bit better about it. But right now, somebody has to get pretty caught out, I feel like, for Flashpoint, which isn't outlandish to say that might happen.
Yeah.
They don't have the most mobile composition in the world, but having that flank pressure, to me, is very important. I like having the guy that can dive the back line and just turn the heads around. If all 5 people are allowed to just kind of continue to look forward at a nice little even spread team fight there, that's where I get a little bit worried. So if Skeppy's out there turning heads, I'm feeling much better about this Flashpoint.
Well, we've got Grok locked in last for Ehrenmanner. Got a lot to be able to bounce off if he wants them, but that's going to do it for Picks and Pays. We're going to jump to the casters, let them take us through this Stone Keep game, and see how they're feeling on this beautiful Monday morning.
Well, and happy Monday morning it is. Hopefully everyone's emotions are a little bit in check after the weekend.
No, I'm not recovered.
Yeah, emotionally exhausted.
Yeah.
Emotionally exhausted is a good way to word it.
From missing out on the PCL last Monday. That's
Right,
what I'm still recovering from.
It's been a long gap.
Exactly.
Right, and then there were a couple media things that came out over the weekend. Good PCL. Good Monday morning. Hopefully everyone's looking forward to some good PCL action today. Flashpoint is the team to beat at the moment. Ehrenmanner looking to do just that here on Stone Keep. Evan, are they going to be able to do it? Is anyone going to be able to do it against Flashpoint is the question. Some roster swaps coming in here. Teams looking a little different than they did a couple weeks ago.
Sure. I think everyone's really getting to the place where they know LAN is approaching and they need to put together the absolute best squad that exists. And I think what's interesting, too, is, Good Lad not being around.
Yeah.
It's something that's going to be a dynamic
change.
shift. He's a LAN winner for them. He's a part of this team. But really, Skeppy coming in, he's also a LAN winner. He's also an MVP. He's also a guy that it's going to be very hard to say no when he is interested.
Well, it's definitely not a move down, to say the least. I mean,
Maybe
Skeppy's,
sideways.
He's been there. It's a lateral move, potentially. And getting through on the Talus. Talus has been one of the more commonly banned console champions, so it's surprising seeing him get through here, especially in the hands of Skeppy. That'll be dangerous to look at. Prosper's going low here. He's able to get himself out here, but First Blood does end up going over to Skeppy. Ernest as well trades one back. World is going to be the third kill here in this game, but all the kills are coming up blue. Looks like Flashpoint is well on their way to point number 1.
Definitely not the right play from Ernest, although decent effort. I could see how he got caught. Prosper was so low, but he was running into that Grover heal, and Ernest losing the high ground. Hara can't get back up unless she restarts that fight, so gave Skeppy full control. He could snowball that, and that's the benefit of having the Talus and the Victor, two extremely strong compositions going against one another, but Flashpoint having the edge as far as DPS, that's for sure.
That came out to play in a big way there in round number 1. They found some damage. Skeppy on this flanker, Talus. Found some damage to start off that fight. Here comes the crossfire as well, but not really any juicy targets as of yet. The Whirlwind comes out as an answer, and that's going to help top him off. World is going to be the first to fall, though, as well as the Tempest is going to come out and do some damage. But Skeppy's able to turn it around, Evan.
Yeah, Grok, huge Tempest there as well. But Skeppy, he has been ever present on this high ground, now finally dropping low. But this is dangerous. He finally has Storm Avatar around, but the Grok is low, and the Ruckus with the Hexafire is only stalled, not finished, the issue that is on the point. 96% and counting, goes into the overcharge, and the Vericharge are doing its work, but they can't get to the back line. It's seeming like time is running out, and there's a good Dread Serpent to start it off.
That is a good Dread Serpent, but there's no damage on the back end. Instead, Prosper has 2, World with 1. That's going to spell the end here for point number 1. Ehrenmanner on the back foot. Flashpoint, find it. They pretty much invested everything, Evan. They had the overpower on the con, but the Talus ultimate as well as the seismic crash around.
Missed.
That's actually very interesting in that I expected there to be more deaths on the side of Flashpoint.
Big play from Skeppy. He actually uses the true power to catch Ehrenmanner, knocks off the Tyra because of the angle of the high ground. She has no quick mobility. That's what the spray is about. Easy kill. And the overpower for Ehrenmanner missed right before that, Dave. So it's a huge trade in favor of Flashpoint.
Yeah, now they have the tools on their side. The barrage is a big one. Whirlwind will be up soon as well. They have the tools to push this one through here in a few seconds. Doing a good job. There's the barrage, though. Nice phase walk is going to get the Grok out of damage range and out of danger there for a moment. And Evan, this is kind of the area where they have to push through. It's this high ground block.
Yeah.
Things could start rolling in the opposite direction once they're able to do that.
This is bad because Ghost Walk's just been used, but he's still half health, has to force the totem there, but it keeps them very isolated on this left choke, and they're going to have to deal with these grenades and deal with the ground floor with the Inara and the Grover pushing. Skeppy still on that right side, and a Gord comes down from Damba, and he goes straight into the Tempest, trying to at least stall out this Inara, but he's been isolated, going to take the high ground again. Hopefully hold on here.
The Inara wall blocked him off very well, chunked out a little bit of damage, but World's going to keep himself alive. Vclax as well as Ernest dropping a double kill here from Prosper. Wouldn't you have guessed it? The third is going to fall here in the form of Khan, and it looks like this one's going to be going through for Flashpoint. 5 streaks on their side, 2-0 up here on Stonekeep, 3 ultimates to boot on the end of it, and they have 3 total deaths on their side.
I mean,
Ehrenmanner's they just can't find the kills right now.
It took a minute for sure to get started, but I think the way they approached these fights was just a little bit ahead of where Ehrenmanner were tactically attempting to control. The high ground is so important here, and I think if you go against it, you have to go either straight back at it in the same direction. This is that play we were talking about. Because Ernest knocks him off, and there's no way for him to get back on. But I think they just need a different approach. If they want to go low ground, they may have to commit to the far low ground and really space out the point.
Right.
Otherwise, it's too easy for Flashpoint with their DPS to deal with them.
You have to look at the overpower miss as well. Not necessarily that necessarily ended the entire game, but the pressure was just not in Ehrenmanner's favor after that happened.
Well,
looking to improve on it here, though.
And a great point, Dave, as this fight gets going, and the whirlwind coming in as well. Sometimes losing pressure or trying to do something that causes pressure, you could lose it if you do not make that play, and it gives the other team an advantage. Skeppy here, obviously getting a double kill. That started things off nice.
Looking for 3, but looks like Ehrenmanner are just going to back themselves off here. But 42% on the point is all Flashpoint will really need. Now they can just pull out the zone here when you have an Inara and a Victor. There's the overpower, so this one's good.
That is good.
World's off the map here, so that's a big frontline presence that's gone. But Flashpoint have plenty of time. They're up 81%.
Ooh.
The Tempest is going to come out. That's going to drop Storm Avatar as well.
Yeah.
So the Grover's gone. Now Ehrenmanner on the front foot.
Can't lose Ernest here, though. That's a big key. He has so much damage. The firebomb, so much spacing. You got to look at it like a grumpy bomb from the BK. Tyra brings that same level of you can't stand here right now, and they need that to allow the space and the fast cap to help them out. Throws it on the point as well, but Vclax, he's in trouble. World Edit going to drop down, and now he has to go into a corner, so it's Flashpoint back in control.
Neither team have ultimates either. I mean, this is except for the Talus ultimate is ready. Obviously, wouldn't expect that to come out just as of yet. Prosper Logic is going to find the first kill here. That's the Tyra going down, and now he can just free fire. The barrage on a stunned up Beanie is going to be good. That's 3 down now for Flashpoint. Ehrenmanner again lose on a clean sweep on the point fight. Flashpoint going up 3-0.
That's how you do it. I mean, perfect retake as well from both teams. I actually really like the overpower into the Tempest. I thought it got 2 big kills. You get the DPS, you get the tank, and you get the healer. Perfect. But the DPS stayed alive. Skeppy did a really good job of spacing out that fight, staying high ground, but also getting in their backline. And that's the thing with Talus, the way that he plays with that Rune of Travel. You know, people said Talus is going to fall off, but not in console. It's just too valuable. The DPS is too strong. And the mobility is really what's applying this pressure. He's in their backline, and he can be right back with his team when he needs to.
He's able to chunk out half of essentially 3/4 even of Barrack's health. Just pop around the corner, Rune of Travel back out, get yourself healed back up, and just do it over and over again. That's probably, I mean, that's why Talus is banned out as much as it is.
Dave, I'm curious to see if Ernest sets himself up to have the same play happen on him again, because he's in the exact same position.
He's in the exact same
it would
spot.
work. If Skeppy did it, it would work, but he's not. He's about 60% charged up, so pay attention to that.
If it charges up enough here, it could be. He is going to move himself forward now, though. The Tempest is going to come out, buy some damage and some movement speed for his team, but Ernest is going to be the one to fall. The Whirlwind's going to top off the blue health bars here. Skeppy's going to be the one to find the kill in this case, and without Ernest right now, they have a little bit of free roam to potentially push in here. Beanie falling as well. That's a damage dealer and a frontliner that are now down. Ehrenmanner on the back foot. Could this be it, Evan?
I think this is. Dread Serpent to try and save it. Could have knocked him off, and at least it gets a kill. But guess who's alive? Prosper Logic with the victor. He's found 3 in this fight, and I love it. I don't want to see the burst mode in this situation. He's just got so much pressure onto 2 tanks that when the record gets built up, cannot stand. That's Flashpoint with the first victory.
That was just clean.
Amazing.
That's just clean.
Really good play.
There's Prosper Logic on his Victor. You let him feel comfortable on that champion. You find some clean kills on Ernest, which open up Prosper Logic to just free firing, essentially.
You know, I really do appreciate, because we have seen so much burst mode, but the consistency the DPS Victor brings, and then the way to allow that same level of pressure from Talus, but more burst, more intermittent, and more mobile, really helped them to just have a kind of a unsolvable problem there.
Well, you can tell Flashpoint are feeling themselves, and that's a nerve-wracking thing to have to deal with. Flashpoint go up 1-0 early on, send it back to the desk.
I think I might just need a mini screen that's almost always watching Prosper when he plays Victor, because like after the first round he was 30,000 damage ahead of everybody else. Like,
Crazy,
and
yeah.
he just makes this huge gap every single time he's on it. It's partially the fact that Victor does a lot of damage, but there's something he's doing that makes it so consistent.
There's an element of just there's not a lot of flankers that are played on console, so that's why you get these that's why Victor, Vivian, Tyra are like these top picks, right? Because if nobody's, and that's not always true, right? With Skeppy being able to dive and put pressure on a Tyra, it changes things drastically for that character. But if Prosper Logic is just sitting there, and the only time he's ever under pressure is when there's a Grok Tempest, right, that forces somebody to, like, you know, just W key into his face. He's left unchecked. And a Victor left unchecked is not a good way to win a fight.
So 120,000. The next highest I saw was 57,000 damage. So even if you round that up to 60, that's still 60,000 damage. Like, he did twice the next highest amount of damage in one game. And it's just the constant pressure I think Prosper was able to apply. And the fact that it looked so good working in tandem with Skeppy, having Skeppy being able to kind of apply that flank pressure and be the, I want to say, the guy that's distracting. Like, you're over here, you're looking at Skeppy, you're throwing a Dread Serpent at Skeppy. No one cares about Prosper. He's just sitting down here free firing.
Yeah, and he's just allowed to throw grenades at a cluster basically all game. They need to find an answer for it. I mean, you can't just let these backline damage picks go completely unchecked like that. He's just quarterbacking grenades the whole game long into the, you know, he's hitting 3 people on every single one of those.
It looked really good, but that is probably their best map, and they drafted incredibly well for Stonekeep. So I'm interested to see if they can keep that pace up, right? Like, if Ehrenmanner can slow them down
It's not
little
really
bit.
a secret at this point what they're going to do.
That's map 1.
I don't know.
Literally textbook Flashpoint at that point.
Yeah, pretty good stuff.
My eyes are now, I mean, I guess, what do you change for Ehrenmanner, right? So they have the Tyra, you were saying there's a lot of flank pressure on her.
pick up a flank,
Pick up a flank and try to pressure them out?
I don't know. Like, they don't like Eevee, and that's understandable. But I think, like, why not a Xin or something like that? I feel like you can run a Xin on console. It's not too bad. Like, that's not exactly out of the line to ask to put some type of pressure on Prosper Logic. It's just, it's folly to let him sit there like that and do whatever he wants all game.
Yeah, the Grok definitely, and that's something, I forgot Grok was even in that game. I didn't get to see him that often, and when he was there, it was really just Tempest boost. The speed boost was all I ever got to see him impact. You go from Stonekeep now to Bright Marsh, where I would actually argue, contrary to what I was about to say, Grok might work better on this map than he worked before, but I don't know if it's something that you really want to go in with. I like your idea much more. Just grab a flank at this point, do something.
I like the way Prosper plays the Grok,
Don't ban a
too.
frontline and give yourself something.
I like the way Prosper plays Grok pretty well, and the only way that Ehrenmanner would have had a way to dive him is to pop that Tempest. And when Prosper's playing, it feels like he gets that thing every 30 seconds, right? That's just a long cooldown ability for him. Talus Viv is going to take a seat. Flashpoint. Do they ban the Makoa? You're going to get rid of the Geno, so Makoa, Khan still open. Tyra's still open as well. And that's a good spot. That's a good ban from the second ban position, right? Because then you leave 3 power picks open technically. They get one of them.
I'm going to grab Khan Makoa right here.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
They probably do.
Slam that red button, grab both these front lines, and give yourself probably the most distinct advantage I've seen in a draft. Because, like, Tyra does a lot, especially in terms of, I want to say, like, balancing maybe Genos, being able to give something similar to the Luminary boost, but I just don't think, in my eyes, it's enough. They go for the Grover overall, which I would say on console, again, like, compared to what we've seen the last week in the Premier League, this is the kind of change, like, that is something that is going to come through, but they opt for neither. And I don't know if that is maybe too much pressure on your support, because I don't know if Grover, like, he's going to be big, but I don't know if he's going to be that
too
big.
much for you, Bob!
Well, there is an element of with every... The reason I think frontliners are so highly prioritized in the Premier League is because they get banned out. It's not uncommon to see 3 or, if not 4 bans all dedicated to the frontline class. And so you got to get those quick because there's not that many left. With these hit scan rifle characters, Tyra, Vic, and Viv, and I guess Talus, if you want to throw him in that conversation, when they're all banned away every game and picked, you know, you want to make sure you get your Victor, I guess. But I don't know if they're really, with already having Tyra, I don't know if they're looking to take Victor as well.
Yeah, true. And being able to come in, they grab Barrack, they grab Khan.
Look how hard you're trying.
And then reply, I love this. Pip comes through, and Pip is one of those champions, and this I think goes for a lot of blasters overall on console, but Pip specifically has been on the rise with it, and I feel like bringing him in and bringing in the ability to just evil mojo, if you're playing it right, maybe every minute and a half, 2 minutes, it's going to create so much pressure onto Barrack and Khan that it's going to feel so awkward on Bright Marsh.
Definitely, it's a good look if you can kill Barrack. It'll go through the Dome Shield, and then if you can kill Barrack, then the Dome Shield will drop as a result of that. And what do Ehrenmanner elect to round this out with? It'll be a Drogos. I'm with it. I like it.
You like it? I feel like it's going to be interesting to see how that fares up overall against the Victor. A lot of damage going to come up. And the everlasting 10th pick,
10th
Makoa.
pick, Makoa, dab on him. Wow.
Oh, he's going to be coming through. It's going to create a lot of trouble for Tyra, a lot of trouble for Drogos if he can hit those hooks in the air. But just based on the draft, who are you feeling a little more?
I actually do like Ehrenmanner's draft this time around.
Oh, they have it going into this.
I don't know if they'll win.
I love Tyra Drogos as a combo, so it has a lot of potential. I like
Yeah.
Luminary Drogos maybe a little bit more, so I'm excited to see if they're able to make this Drogos and kind of do the justice that I think Drogos deserves. They're going up against Flashpoint, so this is going to be a very hard game for that Drogos to be able to pull it off. But we're going to none other than Bright Marsh for map number 2. So let's go ahead and go down to Dave and Evan and see if Flashpoint can take this one or if Ehrenmanner has it.
Thank you, Gore. A betting man would say Flashpoint has it because, well, they've lost one single map so far here in the PCL. Looking to make that streak continue. They got the Makoa, though, Evan. That's not something we see come out too often. That's going to be scary to deal with.
You know, it is reminiscent of the time where that Makoa came out, when Flashpoint fighting for their land with a sub, needing to carry the team. And Legacy right there, who was in that sub role, got Makoa, went 39-0 to close it out, win the LAN, and have a main spot on the roster.
So the guy can play Makoa.
So the guy knows what he's doing, and it's a bold move. Let's put it that way.
It is a
to
bold
give
move.
it to them here. Skeppy playing the Pip. We've seen this innovation so much in the PPL, and really not seen a lot of uses in the PCL.
That's
so
true.
Curious to see how he can perform. It's just so hard to do.
It's become such a high priority pick
Yeah.
in that, I mean, it's not necessarily pick ban every single game, but it's really come out to play, really flexed its muscles, I guess I should say, and shown how it can essentially turn a game on its head. I mean, in the meantime here, Flashpoint have just basically been standing on the point right now. No fights coming out, just a lot of poking damage back and forth.
Yeah.
Flashpoint find themselves on the point, 87% up.
But it's really with that Inara, and they're just working so well off of World Edit, and they have passive healing from the Grover. Look, it's reaching him. He's not even in the room right now.
Right.
And it's still reaching him. He's still getting passively healed. He throws that Earthen Guard on. He throws the wall up. There's just
tanking.
nothing they have to do. There's no way you're going to win this. The Barrett Con
there it
combo,
is.
I know it's comfortable for Beanie and Clax, but it's just not standing up against this Grover Inara.
And the aggression comes out right at the right time. They essentially just absorb so much damage over time, get that percentage up on the point. Ooh, that's a nice hook. Is he going to be able to get him on the
smart
back end?
play.
Yeah, smart. Get himself out, get himself alive. The damage wasn't there until now when
Yeah.
Prosper's able to peek around the corner. I mean, they essentially went up like 80-something% before that fight broke out.
Yeah.
And it was Inara just absorbing all that damage from the outside. And then they turn it around on its head, and Ehrenmanner on the back foot. They have 4 ultimates. They have what they want. On the opposite side, though, you have 3, almost 4 and 5 on the side of Flashpoint. And this is where you have to look on Bright Marsh, Evan. This is the hard choke point to break through, but it's a lot easier when Prosper's finding kills.
And this is really the thing, because, oh my God!
Oh, that was almost...
Have I seen a more valuable
is.
barrage that had to have hit 5 people? That hit the whole team. They're all dead. That was probably one of the more valuable barrages you're ever going to see.
And it could have been worse.
And it could have been worse.
or for Ehrenmanner, it could have been worse.
Yeah, it really could have. And Ernest wasn't there. So
Right.
all 4 members of the team who were still alive get caught by that. And Beanie is already under too much pressure. I'm not sure he's going to be able to make it back out. Good damage on the Legacy, but he's getting the Whirlwind healing. And it's the push. It's successful.
That's all they needed.
All you needed.
0 kills in round number 1 there for Ehrenmanner.
Oh, that hurts.
And that is World Edit standing on the point. You had Barak, you had Khan, you had essentially everyone just staring at him and pumping him full of damage, but he was able to tank it up, found the aggression, flipped it around, and then just a couple picks on the back side of that fight is all Flashpoint needed to push it through. 4 streaked out members, and it's honestly not, I mean, the Makoa's been there, he's hit some good hooks, Legacy's been playing well, but
Yeah.
it's really on the back end of the other 4 on this team. The 4 streaks here are what is propelling Flashpoint forward.
You see, Skeppy is really also needing a shout-out here on the pit because he's had some good moments of mobility, which is probably, I would say, the more challenging part about Pip, and the more challenging part even on PC. On console, I think it would add another layer of difficulty because looking up takes longer on console typically than it would on PC, and that's so much apart. Looking up, looking down, especially dealing with the Drogos, but also moving on these high ground. And he's got to hit this shot.
No.
It's not easy to do. You can see that's the difficulty of it. But Ernest getting aggressive.
Fall anyway.
Still falls to Legacy.
Gonna fall off, and Flashpoint needed less than that to capture the point last time. That's a nice hook here from Legacy, and the Ancient Rage as well. That's gonna drop V-Clax on the back end. Prosper Logic's gonna find
cancel.
one onto Tyra as well. Cancels out his ultimate. Now it's just down to Beanie, who's gonna get hooked in yet again. The hooks have been hitting pretty much all game here for the Makoa. Like I said, Flashpoint needed less than that last time to capture the point, so now that they find some kills and they have a zone in here, imagine Ehrenmanner on the back foot.
Well, you know, Flashpoint really is a team responsible for elevating the entirety of the PS4 scene. And they've added Skeppy, who's been, whether it's PS4 or Xbox, a dominant player, a winner, and someone who is generally a good-natured dude, at least in person, that you can add to a roster without a lot of qualms, you know, a lot of, you know, rubbing people the wrong way just by who he is. Can't say the same for every player, but I think the fact that he's been able to fit in, he's brought something clearly to the roster in the pit, and we'll see how much this starts to have an impact. It's been great so far.
I think Gore and I talked about it, I think, in Esports Weekly, in that was like I think they as a team, you know, their eyes are beyond LAN at this point. They're like, all right, we've only dropped a single map. I mean, obviously other teams have a little bit of time here to potentially make some moves, but that's a, like, we want to win games at LAN sort of move. We want to have our best chance. I mean, we can get there with the roster we have, but adding in Skeppy,
we want to win the LAN,
we want to win the whole thing, and that was the sort of move that Gore and I had talked about, and I think others would agree. Ehrenmanner, in the meantime, they're able to
finding kills finally.
Find some kills. That was one of the first couple. The overpower onto Prosper Logic was the first one in this game here. That's a nice Evil Mojo onto 3, actually. Skeppy hits a great Evil Mojo. Only 1 kill comes out on the back end. Beanie's going to be the next to fall. And with 1 minute and 8 seconds left, still has plenty of time left to push it through. Yeah, 4 total kills there on the side of Ehrenmanner.
He knows where she is, just trying to take down the Saris, who is in the invisibility of the shadow travel, but if you get close enough, you could spot her out. Prosper still kind of feeling like the cleanup crew and showing up whenever he needs to. Doesn't have the barrage quite yet, and actually opting for that burst mode this time around. So very interesting to see those distinct choices made and the flexibility between each of those picks for Prosper. V-Clax goes into the dome shield, but barrage could be good. Just going to back off.
Just have the barrage ready. The whirlwind's around as well. Ancient Rage soon to come up. Only the Dragon Punch and Crossfire ready for Ehrenmanner. The dome shield did just come out. 20 seconds left here. Still plenty of time for either team to really make their statement here. A couple kills going in Flashpoint's direction could spell the end here. The Tyra marks are coming out, finding their target right now. In hooked goes Beanie. He's not going to get cleaned up on the back end, but look at this. Here comes a Crossfire. It's a nice convergence as well, but all the damage is flipping back on the opposite side. The Ancient Rage comes out. Prosper Logic with 3. The Dragon Punch, a Quadra for Prosper. He's looking for 5. Can he do it? No, the game ended. No. Oh, Prosper Logic, though, finds himself 4. That was a really nice convergence, actually. I thought that Ehrenmanner was going to be able to do it, and then the damage just flipped on its head.
Those are the things that sometimes you set a convergence up, you get everyone grouped, and then everyone goes offensive, but they don't know that an Ancient Rage is coming. They don't know that Prosper has a barrage to follow up, and you almost overcommit when you should have just stayed defensive in the first place, and that's what happened. They get caught out, and Flashpoint looking good again.
Flashpoint looking good. Still haven't dropped a map yet here today, up 2-0. Let's send it back to Gornick.
I think at this point, Prosper can actually report the rest of his team for not jumping off the payload, giving him like 10, not even 10, like 3 more seconds to get 2 more shots to get that penta.
Put pressure on him. I don't know. Again, it's 2 games in a row.
He's just chilling.
Just okay. If you want to let him just sit there and free fire, I guess we'll see how it pans out. It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Didn't work game 1, didn't work game 2. We'll have to see about game 3 whenever they come through for it. But I mean, Prosper, like I wanted to do my best. I was like, you know what? We talk about Prosper all the time, especially when he's playing Victor. I want to just focus on literally anyone else this game. And then, of course, he gets a quadra kill at the very end. I actually want to highlight Ernest. Did a lot of damage. Same thing with Riser there. 73 and 62K.
Both of those tanks, they doubled the DPS. That first pick Tyra is barely out-damaging Saris.
That is just not quite being able to come through. 0 and 6 there for the Tyra. 0-6 there as well for the Barrack. Just not real big play. 6 kills, though, total. They didn't get 1 until the second round, so it was pretty big for them to come through.
Yeah.
But of course, 7-0-7, it's 14-2-6. Skeppy and Prosper, again, are probably going to be the ones that get highlighted the most because they make the flashiest plays. And when it comes to flashy plays, you get one right there, and they just group up. They're just ready for it. Like, I mean, that's just a treat when you're Victor.
Yeah, they really are out here clumping up to get punished by Victor again. The barrage, the grenades. I mean, he's running shrapnel because it's working so well. Game number 1 goes for the burst mode this game and just sits in the window. He's in his bunker right now.
I mean,
how many more shots did he need? Ooh, that burst. That burst probably would have done it.
Just moved slightly right for that aim and that shot, he would have gotten the penta, and then the game would have ended.
Yeah. Hey, Prosper, have you tried getting good and hitting your shots, kid? I expected better.
You expected better. I mean,
with a penta on the line,
you just can't get a pentakill every single game.
You're just gonna whiff. You're gonna whiff that burst with the penta on the line. Come on, bro.
It is unfortunate. Maybe
nobody's in your face. You don't need to miss that shot. That's all
heat
day.
of the moment.
That needs to be all day.
They're too focused on winning.
No, I'm just playing.
I think if we challenge them, we have to be very careful because if we challenge them, I'm sure Flashpoint will absolutely
I'm gonna get a
gatekeep.
message.
They will put one person on point. The other 4 will just lock down the other team in the base, and they will never see the light of day.
Yeah.
And you'll see the only game where maybe 200 kills could be possible.
Well, Jaguar Falls is our final map here, or it could be our final map. But the way that this is going, I would
8 in a row for Flashpoint.
I would not be betting against Flashpoint at this juncture. They are going to be first pick, though. Vivian is gone. Torvald's taking a seat as well.
Torvald is probably in that one area right now where it makes
is
sense for him to be specifically the one frontline that gets banned, because if you look at, especially against Flashpoint, they are running flanks anyway. If you give that flank the ability to have a second life and more damage, it becomes incredibly deadly. I like the Talus ban, Ehrenmanner just banning that out from what we saw earlier. We have Grok, Vivian, and now the Genos finally comes through, and Flashpoint scoop it up immediately.
Yeah, I mean, clearly damage amp is very important to these guys right now, and to console in general, it appears.
Choose your words carefully,
which is not,
heathen, for they
it's not
are your
unlike
last.
PC. I mean, Torvald still is a very, very highly prioritized ban. Tyra's being picked. I don't know if this is an Ehrenmanner thing or if this is just like they're still stuck on the damage amp, but she's being picked over Victor right now, which is a big, big thing for Flashpoint.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they haven't banned it out. I mean, maybe you let the Talus through, but it's very strange to me to go 3 games in a row with one pick in particular messing you up. You don't ban it, you don't pick it, you just let them get it. Every single, you just let it happen.
Yeah, and
you make 0 adjustments.
I feel like there's a point 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago,
Pickups
where
in.
I distinctly remember after
Warm
the
up
set,
and follow me
Prosper
in.
messages me and it was like, yeah, so I decided to not play Victor for a couple of games there because, like, at this point I've become like a Victor one trick because if it's good, it's as good as it is on console, and he's as good as he is on it.
are not
You might as well
welcome
pick it every
here.
single game, but after a while, I'm sure it gets kind of boring.
Well, Ehrenmanner, they've got the map. Jaguar Falls here. They've got Grover Ash. They've got ways to get aggressive and to shut this Victor down.
Where will the journey take
a little
me today?
bit. Skeppy looks like he's going to be playing some Koga, and while that's not super great into a little stacked up ball per se, I think he will be able to find some isolation kills for sure. Especially if Ash is trying to dive, then that's going to leave Tyra pretty exposed, and they don't have any peel. They don't have Calm. They don't have Makoa. They don't have anyone that can do that job. And that's interesting to note. With Makoa on the board, they just don't take it.
They grab the Khan
There it
Barrack
is.
instead, being able to dance around on the point and control the side
That's
rooms.
what the doctor ordered.
But finally, Zin's coming through. Do you think, is this going to be enough to
This
give
is
Ehrenmanner a map?
Ehrenmanner are 4-0 in Flashpoint here, and the reverse sweep begins.
Here it comes. Koga, not going to matter. Luminary, not going to matter.
Nah.
It's all on top
Skeppy.
of this Zin.
Prosper, did you see that whiff in that last game? No pentakill for that idiot? Oh, man. He's going down.
Well,
at
it's
the hands.
Jaguar Falls. It is potentially a set-ending map, depending on how Flashpoint can come through with this one. Koga is looking pretty good. He's got half the equation in his favor. The damage amp is there, not quite the shielding. Let's see how they run it as we jump into the map.
Koga makes his debut yet again. Got the Genos at his back here. Jaguar Falls, that's a map where he can really excel. Now you have Skeppy on the Victor. That's not what you would expect if you were watching a Flashpoint game, but instead you got Prosper on the Koga. That's a scary duo to deal with there, Evan. You got the Luminary Koga coming at you.
And it's an adrenaline junkie at this point. So we'll see if he switches into the Claws. Claws getting nerfed and costing a little bit more health. And also, you know, really, I think, encouraging the adrenaline junkie change, which had taken over once that was adjusted. And then people still complain about the Claws. And now this is something we've seen actually utilized quite often. This adrenaline junkie style. Not only does it bring the hit scan, but it's just the reset.
Wow.
And it feeds it to itself the own energy that allows it to continue to fire. It's a really cool style of play. And you can take a look at the build here. One of my favorites. And the Shadow Step heal is really the thing that helps, because not only are you getting more healing, not only are you obviously regenerating your energy, but every time you regen your energy, you dash, you get your health back.
Right.
You shoot more, you dash, you get more health back, and the trades just eventually go in your favor.
So it's potentially not as scary as Flashpoint captures their first point, seemingly
It's a
with
long-term
right.
scare.
Is it right? It's potentially as scary, just maybe not as much burst damage right up front.
Exactly.
That's maybe the way of looking at it.
And the other thing about it, Dave, is that it's so mobile, and that's the thing. These dashes not only are invulnerability, CC immunity, but they are getting him to spaces that you feel safe in now, but you know, a few shots and a couple dashes later, he's right up on your back line. There's nothing you can do about it.
Right now, World Edit is the beneficiary of a lot of this Koga damage. He's found 3 or 4 for himself so far. Finally, Prosper finds his first kill in this game, despite doing a good chunk of the damage here. And rounding the corner already.
Yeah, look at that.
Minute and 45 seconds left. Ehrenmanner pushed back into their base. And honestly, this is what we've seen from Flashpoint. You give us an inch, we're going to take a mile. And they've been given more than an inch here.
No, absolutely. There are a couple of people that I think really work well with this Koga style. And the thing is, like, it's not about the certain character, but Victor here with the grenades, with the barrage, the way that Prosper forces people in back into these areas, behind these, like, that's when the grenade, that's when a barrage matters. The crossfire coming in, trying to contend, but he's going to go in the Cyclone Strike, and even if he doesn't get a kill, he just lives.
Keeps himself alive, doesn't get cross-fired up there. Instead, actually flips it around. Finally, a kill coming in. Legacy's going to be the one to drop on the side of Flashpoint here. Ernest now getting a little bit aggressive, but that payload is so close to going through here.
Yeah.
You have the dome shield out as well. Ernest falls. This could be it for point number 2 here. Flashpoint looking to continue it. Beanie's going to throw down the banner, so that's some immunity there for a moment. So they buy themselves some space, but still with 45 seconds left, Evan.
Yeah.
They only have the seismic crash left. On the opposite side, you have through time and space, so 1 for 1 as far as ultimates go. Here's the through time and space. Not going to find any targets. But they're getting aggressive here.
Yeah, and it's pressure onto the back line, which is what they're doing. And this is what they continue to do. They find either Skeppy or Prosper. This time, Prosper playing that same role. Getting into the back line, forcing everyone towards this pressure. And that's where Skeppy on the Victor can clean it up. It was Prosper doing the exact same thing when Skeppy was on the Talus. So these two interchanging, this is the dynamic we were hoping to see. Is it paying off? And to me, it looks like it is in a big, big way.
Yeah, to say the least it is. 4-0-4, 2-0-4, 4-0-1. Legacy feeding on the side of Flashpoint. 0-1-6 for him. And you got the 3 top damage dealers in the game by far. I mean, they're doubled up, tripled up even on anyone from Ehrenmanner. I mean, that's essentially just them getting melted, I think, before they're really able to return any damage on the backside. I mean, it looks like Flashpoint's on their way to a clean 4-0 here, but is there something that you could see maybe from Ehrenmanner? What is there anything they can do at this point maybe to flip it on its head, or is this one just too far gone?
Well, I think you need pressure with Beanie and with Zen. I think Zen he could play both roles where he gets that chunk damage with his Yomi, or he's the one who cleans it up and gets in the backline with the Whirl and then is easily able to get kills. Right now, though, Ernest, because of the lack of mobility, dealing with the Koga, it's a bad matchup. She will just lose it eventually. So she's got to stay safe. So I think this is the right rotation. And if they get Storm here, I mean, it's a big win. It's a big win for them. Unfortunately, misses that Yomi strike, but if he gets an aggressive Whirl, this is an opportunity to really change the game, and he hits that one. He's just got to get the healer in the Void Grip. It's going to stall it all out.
And Prosper, in the meantime, is the one who finds the kill, so Ernest was just kind of on his own there.
Yeah.
The pressure going to the rest of the Ehrenmanner side. Skeppy with a couple in this one. Prosper. Skeppy make it 3. Prosper's not the only one on Flashpoint who can make it a Quadra.
Wow.
Flashpoint trading out Quadras on the Victor today. Skeppy can do it just as well. And Flashpoint find themselves point number 3. 6-11, 12, 6-11 are your streaks now for Flashpoint. Look how comfortable Prosper's feeling. Not going to bite off more than he can chew there, but sticks his head around the corner.
Yeah.
Pumps some damage into the Ehrenmanner lineup. This is exactly what we saw after point number 1. They're on their way to pushing this through to a 4-0.
Not sure what that pillow was about.
good Cyclone Strike.
I mean, not even going into retreat. He just felt like maybe he wanted to hide around. Lack of awareness, maybe just an overwhelm, and maybe just the good play makes you do things that you normally don't do when not under this amount of pressure, and that's certainly what Flashpoint have brought to the table here. An overpower, looking to find a kill, and I believe it did.
It did on a Beanie, but that essentially buys a little bit of time here for them. Now the overpower is down. Oh, that was close. Commander's grab almost sends him flying here. Just buys him some time. You have the Dome Shield, you have Barrage, you have Through Time and Space yet again. Only the Crossfire ready on the side of Ehrenmanner. That's a good Through Time and Space. 2 down now on the side of Ehrenmanner. This could be it. Flashpoint looking for a clean 12-0 start to our day here. Crossfire is going to buy some time. World Edit going to be the one to clean that one up. And Flashpoint, flawless on the day. 4-0, 4-0.
Flawless victory.
4-0 for a flawless victory for Flashpoint. They just look good, Evan. They just look good.
They look
they
like
look
they
scary.
just. It was a Mortal Kombat fatality that
That's
we just witnessed. It was a full-on just disintegration of any hope that Ehrenmanner had, and that's just going up against the big dogs. Flashpoint clearly have made a positive change with Skeppy. I like the way that this team is shaping up.
I agree. They look good.
You know, it's like it's the best of both worlds here, so I'm excited.
I mean, they're now 20 map differential. Stush, the only one taking a map off of them up to this point. I'm not sure anyone can stop him just as of yet. Another 3-0 here for Flashpoint. Let's send it back to the desk to break it down.
I could watch Skeppy and Prosper play DPS, I think, literally all day and be perfectly fine with it. Unfortunately, we don't get to anymore. Flashpoint finished it off in a 3-0.
I could watch Storm Avatar support
fast
all day.
It was actually really good from him, that entire game. I mean, the one moment that stood out in my mind for that game, at least, was there's a barrage coming down, forces everyone to run to the corner. He's like, all right, Through Time and Space in there.
I loved
Choose
that
one.
That was my favorite. That was actually the moment I wanted to bring up. But you sniped Igor, you're the best. That's the best moment. And when you get a guy so hopelessly trapped in a corner with Through Time and Space,
Jeez.
and they don't even move at that point. They're just like, well, hands are up, controller's down. I'm just kind of like hanging my head at this point. And he only did 10k damage, and when you factor in all that laser beam damage, that's a pretty cool stat. What percentage of your damage is purely
Just
ultimate damage?
Probably half. I'm going to give him at least half. I'm going to say he hit enough of those for it to be half there. 2-0 and 13 for Storm Avatar, 7-0 and 6 for Skeppy, 6-0 and 9 for Prosper. And that was actually the one thing that caught my attention, and I didn't notice it until round 2 because of how fast the first round went. They completely on different champions than I thought they were going to be. I thought it was going to be Prosper playing the Victor instead of Skeppy, and then Skeppy on the Koga. But I think Prosper just needed that opportunity. He just wanted to get in their face. He's like, you know what? I've been sitting back having a free fire. Skeppy, you take a day off for this game. I'll go ahead and get in the front line.
At this point, it's probably like, can you please play Victor? Let me do something.
Let me
else.
do something other than stand.
That's why Skeppy was picked up, so that he could play Victor and Prosper could do something else. I mean, it's a selfish way to draft your team, but I mean, you got to do what you got to do, I guess.
I mean, anything that kind of moves you away from constantly free firing and having probably the easiest game that you've had. Like, those first 2 games, like, I genuinely don't know. I think maybe twice I saw him get damaged. Like, no one was looking at him. He was free firing. And then the same thing happened for Skeppy in the end game there. So being able to kind of sit through and be happy with it, another 3-0 for Flashpoint. They move themselves continually forward. Unfortunately for Ehrenmanner, that just, there was almost, I don't even want to say no chance, but, like, based on looking back at it, it just never felt like there was a fight back.
I'll say it. There was no chance, really.
No chance.
I don't think there was not really even a glimmer of hope for them. But I do like they finally adjusted on Jaguar Falls. I will give them that. Do that sooner. And maybe even do that at game 1. You know what Flashpoint's going to run at this point, right? I think do that a little bit earlier, and you might stand a chance. Get a point on the board. I don't know, something.
Well, hey, there it is. 7-0 there for Flashpoint. Only a 20 plus minus because they dropped that one game, but every other game has been pretty much just like what you just watched. 4-0s, except against Aerial Arise. Sometimes it gets a little bit more contested in that area, but always coming out on top are Flashpoint. And looking good doing so today. And I think I can say this with confidence now. It's been a couple weeks that I've known Skeppy was on this team, but this is the first time I've gotten to see it. And it was a good choice.
Yeah.
I think it's to
so
say the
far,
least.
so we'll see when it comes to LAN. I think you're right on the money when you said that this was a decision made with eyes set on LAN.
Yeah.
These guys have been slapping this region around, and they will probably continue to do so.
If not even more.
Indefinitely, right? So Skeppy is going to be, he's going to hit the ground running here. He's going to be good in this find. The Flashpoint are going to do what they're going to do. He was picked up to play on LAN, and that's where Skeppy has to kind of define himself with this Flashpoint squad.
Well, that's going to do it for set number 1. Flashpoint find again. They're 3-0. But now we're going to go ahead and take a quick break before we jump back in with the other side of Europe in the Xbox. The Paladins Console League, brought to you by Skillshot, Evil Mojo, INAP, SteelSeries, and Respawn.